Hi everyone, my name is Allison Wells and I will be presenting my informative speech on religious freedom and laws. So imagine being unable to pray or attend services or being forced into religion out of your free will by a government. Religious freedom shows how societies balance individual rights and laws. And this has relevance to all of you because college students encounter diverse beliefs on campus and in the world, like at work or everyday life in the grocery store. The government and how they regulate religion really does affect you. Understanding religious freedom helps explain legal rights and social dynamics in everyday life. Throughout history, there are a continual development of religious freedom and how it is either affect or involved with the law. It is very different in this modern day though, after many legal actions have been taken recently. There are a lot of challenges through this and several debates. So today we're going to talk about religious freedom and how it gets affected by the law or involved through the law. First, we're going to talk about historical development. Early societies often restricted religious practices. For example, early Christians in the Roman Empire were sometimes punished for worship. One of the main things, as you can see the timeline I have right here, the Magna Carta was in 1215. That was in England. That had really early recognition of the church's legal role. The Clause 1 explicitly stated that the English church shall be free, ensuring its rights and liberties remained inviolate. It recognized the church's right to own land, manage assets without government interference, and hold its own councils. It was drafted to curb King John's interference in church affairs, a major conflict point between the monarchy and the church, with the Archbishop of Canterbury playing a key role in its creation. So Magna Carta really helped in very early history with religious freedom. The next thing we have in our timeline is the English Toleration Act of 1689. It allowed certain Protestant groups to worship freely. It acknowledged the failure of a single uniform state, the Church of England, to encompass all English Protestants. The act permitted legal, open, and separate worship for Protestant dissenters. By accommodating diverse Protestant groups, it aimed to build a broad base of support for the Protestant monarchy. After the Catholic James II was deposed, the toleration was narrow by modern standards, as it was not a concept of universal religious freedom, but rather a practical, political, and limited toleration for specific Orthodox Protestant sects. The last one we have is the U.S. First Amendment of 1791. The U.S. First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion and prevents government establishment of religion. Two very important things. It guarantees that government remains neutral, protecting both religious individuals and the state from entanglement. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. That, end quote. It protects all from action by government to control our thoughtful independence and prohibits the government from supporting any one faith or personal beliefs over other, and another form of discrimination. History really sets the stage for modern protections, and that leads us to modern legal protections. We'll start with the United States of America. The First Amendment, as I said before, protects freedom of religion and prevents government establishment of religion. Two very important things, because we want to express our freedom, but express different religions without being controlled by the government. But at the same exact time, we do not want to control the government and control what everyone else believes. Another really important thing was separation of church and state, a principle derived from the First Amendment, which was reinforced by court rulings ensuring that the government cannot favor or establish a religion. As I said before, very important, not controlling people. Separation of church and state is a legal principle rooted in the First Amendment's Establishment Clause, requiring the government to remain neutral regarding religion, neither supporting nor inhibiting it. It ensures that religious institutions and government operate independently, preventing an official state religion and protecting the free exercise of faith for individuals. Key aspects of this doctrine include government neutrality. The state cannot favor one religion over another or religion over non-religion. No official religion. The government is prohibited from establishing or supporting a state church. It also, another aspect is freedom of worship. It protects citizens from government coercion in matters of faith. And lastly, the last aspect of this doctrine includes legal origins. While not in the Constitution itself, the phrase was famously used by Thomas Jefferson in 1802, describing a wall of separation between church and state. This concept prevents the government from punishing individuals for their beliefs and generally keeps religious doctrine from dictating public. We also have the Religious Freedom Restoration Act from 1993. It provides a legal safeguard when government actions burden religious practice. Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993 and a U.S. federal law requiring the government to meet a strict scrutiny standard, compelling interest, and least restrictive means before substantially burdening a person's exercise of religion. It was designed to protect religious practices from neutral laws of general applicability. Court cases illustrate how these laws balance religious freedom with other legal interests. And different examples of this from the past have even come up recently. As many of you may know the case, I don't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but with the baker and the Supreme, up against the Supreme, he went all the way to the Supreme Court because one of the things he did was he refused to service to an LGBTQ couple, and he viewed it as freedom of religion. He is entitled to his own beliefs, and so he refused those customers, but also it was discrimination towards them. So that was a big case up against the Supreme Court. They ruled in favor of the baker, actually. So that was a really touchy one because it's discrimination, but it's also freedom of religion, and they sided with freedom of religion because of the First Amendment. Next, we have international perspective. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was from the United Nations, and Article 18 recognizes freedom of thought, conscience, and religion globally. The Article 18 states, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a milestone document in the history of human rights. It was drafted by representatives with legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on December 10, 1948, as a common standard achievements for all peoples and all nations. It sets out for the first time fundamentally human rights to be universally protected, and it has been translated in over 500 languages. This is really important because it shows that it is not just America who views religious freedom as important. It is all over the world. While implementation still does vary though, some countries fully protect religious practice while others impose restrictions. As you can see, I have put a map up here on whether they hostile religion, on the levels of hostile religion. So the white parts are low, the tan parts are moderate. In the United States we have moderate. High is orange, as you can see in China, it's very high. And very high is all these things like China, Russia, North Korea, all those things. I personally have known people who had religious practices in China and actually got kicked out because of their religious practices. And so different countries like that have different levels of legalities. And so it's really difficult to be able to have religious freedom in those countries because they don't have much at all. There are lots of contemporary challenges. Yeah. Just with everything going on and everything, it overlaps with other laws. So religious freedom sometimes conflicts with civil rights, public health mandates, or workplace policies. For example, in the EEOC versus Abercrombie and Fitch Stores Incorporated, a Muslim applicant was denied a job because her headscarf, her job, conflicted with the company's look policy. This case raised tension between not only religious accommodation rights under federal law, but also workplace appearance policies set by employers. So the two really head-butted together. This Supreme Court ruled that employers may not refuse to hire someone to avoid accommodating a religious practice, because that is discrimination against her religion because it's for a certain look. There's also a global perspective though. Some countries limit citizenship, as I said before, to practice their religion, like China, Russia, North Korea, Iraq, all those countries. Like I said before, I had a friend who was kicked out because of their religious practices. Organizations such as Open Doors USA track global restrictions on religious freedom. That's where I got the map. So this shows how high, again, the restrictions are on religious freedoms. Egypt is the highest one. There's Iran, China, Indonesia, Burma, Pakistan, Russia, Vietnam are the highest ones. Next we have Bangladesh, Nigeria, Turkey, India, Ethiopia, France, and I could go on and on. It's across the world in reality that we are having trouble to really protect people's rights. In conclusion, as we talked about before, historical development shows the evolution of protections for religious practice. Modern legal framework protects religious freedom in many countries. It includes separation of church and state, protects religion. And contemporary debates illustrate ongoing challenges and balancing acts. Quote on freedom is the ability to choose and to commit ourselves to our goals and values. This really shows us what freedom truly is, and that really defines what religious freedom should be. Because without religious freedom, we aren't able to express our beliefs, and really that's not freedom at all. Understanding the history, law, and challenges of religious freedom helps explain how societies manage individual rights and collective interests without taking sides.